Andrew Tate has been acting quite like Andrew Tate recently. So since he lost the fight with Chase Demore, right? We've seen Andrew Tate doing what he does, right? Talking craziness online. Okay, but I wanted to make this video because I feel like, he's a little bit insecure. And, we'll have a look at a few clips and we'll talk about why I think that. Okay, so again, he recently lost a fight with Chase Demore. And since then, he's been trending or going viral for some outrageous views on things like Venezuela. Then we have the whole Nick Fuentes and Sneeko and all that controversy, right? Which we'll take a look at. But let's quickly take a look at his post-fight interview, yeah, where he talked about his loss to Chase Demore.
Because if you win, it's changing your entire life trajectory forever. And if you lose, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is some people on the internet are going to say some bad things about you. Some imperfect people who jerk off to porn, who have their own problems and their own struggles. Who gives a fuck what those people say? They're not, but we had pressure on different sides. Both sides of the coin, we had pressure in different directions. It would have been very difficult for him mentally, just like it was very difficult for me mentally. And for him to turn up on the day and get it done, complete respect to him. Let me give you some life advice to everyone at home, guys. Never, ever take away your opponent's victory.
So I just wanted to play just a little snippet from it. All right, but basically he's making up a bunch of excuses of why he lost. He does accept that he lost, right? But he says that, he got tired quickly and maybe it's because it's old type of thing, right? But something, obviously, it rattled him that he lost because he fully intended to go into this fight and win. And he's been getting a lot of backlash online for the simple fact that he's been preaching, winning, okay? He said crazy things like, if you lose, you're a loser, all that sort of stuff, right? But then Andrew Tate's gone into this fight. He bought KSI shares in Misfits or something like that, took over the company, decided he wanted to fight the champion who's not a great boxer, and Andrew Tate, who's a however many time kickboxing champion, goes into the ring and loses to this guy, right? So we see that. There's a lot of chat about that. Now, shortly after that, he's been going online. We had the Venezuelan president kidnapped by Donald Trump or whatever, brought to the United States, right? And then Andrew Tate has made a video which is very controversial, and he said some things. He basically gave his views and his opinion. But it looks like to me he's just trying to get into the algorithm, right? He's trying to rage bait and get people talking about him again because all he's been getting is negative chat about the fact that he lost the fight. And I feel like he's quite insecure about losing followers or losing the respect of the people that he's got to follow him. Okay? So let's quickly take a look at this next clip.
Andrew Tate on the Venezuela situation and then some beef with Sneeko. Ooh.
Venezuela. Take all their shit. I'm against these long, prolonged boots on the ground, let's launder trillions, thousands of death, bullshit wars, Afghanistan garbage. I'm against that. But I am for efficient imperialism. Send the Blackhawks, kidnap one guy, in and out, 45 minutes, get trillions. Let's take Mexico. Let's take all of Europe. Bro, I wish America would just invade Europe. Take Greenland. What the f*** are Denmark gonna do?
So there you have old school Andrew Tate chatting the business like he normally does, right? There's been times where he's said a lot of things in the past. Then he's gone on to things like Piers Morgan or whatever, and he said that he was new to social media, and since then he's learned a lot about he has to be responsible for the things that he says online because he's got a huge following and things like that. But this, to me, it just looks like a man who lost a fight and he's come back because he's seen all the chat online, and now he's come back and he started saying all kinds of crazy stuff online again to kind of get into the algorithm and get people talking about him. Again, he's a very smart guy, very genius guy. He's very smart. No one can take that away from him. He's very smart. But at the same time, I think he's very dumb. Some of the things that he says, some of the things that he said and got himself into trouble with, with the whole webcam stuff, pimping type stuff, right? But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so after that, we get the whole Andrew Tate and Sneeko beef, right? So Sneeko and Andrew Tate have been going back and forth online over Venezuela, over various topics, right? That they're disagreeing on, right? So they've been Sneeko has been more attacking Andrew Tate, and Andrew Tate's been like, oh, he's just whining like a baby or whatever. But lo and behold, not too long after that, you have Andrew Tate meeting up with Sneeko, right, and going out clubbing with him, even though they're enemies right now. It's quite strange. But not only that, when they do go out clubbing, I'll just play it without the sound because I don't want to get a copyright strike, right? And the song that they happen to be dancing to is Kanye West. Ye, who's now changed his name back to Kanye West. I've made a video on that as well, which you should go and check out, right? Because he's apologizing now for this now. But you have the Hail H song that they were dancing to in the club. Andrew Tate, to his credit, wasn't actually dancing, okay? But or wasn't celebrating the song. But Sneeko, for example, you got Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, Myron Gaines, and Tristan Tate, and whoever else is in this video, this clip, right? Clavicula, or whatever his name is, right? They are celebrating this song or dancing to this song and doing the salute, or at least Myron Gaines did the hand salute, and there was some backlash, and now Sneeko himself has been banned from every club in Miami. They say he's banned from Miami after doing this, which he streamed live, having a chat with someone telling him that he's banned from Miami off the back of this, right? But what we see again is we should get Andrew Tate in the algorithm. Andrew Tate, more controversy. Things went quiet for a bit, but now all of a sudden after this fight, right, there was a huge promotion up to his fight, right, and now things are getting loud again. Strangely enough, right. And then next we have this interview where Andrew Tate is talking about Charlie Kirk, right, and Nick Fuentes in danger, right? Obviously, he was just out with Nick Fuentes, right? But when was this? So this was 2 days ago, okay? Which I'm watching on another channel that I normally tune into. But I saw this yesterday, and I thought, wow. So I thought, let me talk about this today, right? But so basically, he's talking about it's conspiracy theory on the whole Charlie Kirk shooting, right, and so on, right. So we'll quickly play some of this as well. But again, this is just Andrew Tate saying a bunch of mad things all of a sudden, because obviously he's gone onto this podcast, and I'm sure when you go onto these podcasts, they give you a list of questions that they're going to ask, so you can prepare your answers. You can say, you know what, I don't want to talk about this, don't want to talk about that. But he says things that could potentially put himself in danger, or he says that could put Nick Fuentes in danger, right? But he was just with Nick Fuentes. He could just talk about that to Nick Fuentes, right? Or maybe they put this stuff out there so that if something does happen, someone can point the finger somewhere, right? But at the same time, this video, which is a pretty good video, actually, by DD Got a Podcast, right? If I move myself out of the way, you can see his channel over there, right? DD Got a Podcast, right? Great channel. But yeah, so he's talking about the simple fact that Andrew Tate, he believes, is part of a secret society, or he's like he's controlled opposition. That's it, controlled opposition, where they allow him to talk about these things, right? And this is why nothing bad happens to him when he talks about these things. But anyway, let's just play the video quickly. So I'm rambling on a little bit. I'm aware of that, but yeah.
Why do you think Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Do you think it was because of feminism?
Let's talk as professionals here. Sorry for the pause. I'm just scanning what's going to keep me alive. So I know who killed him. And the only person who is overtly giving theories as to who killed him publicly is Candace. The reason Candace is breathing is because she is a woman and because she is black. And the people in charge have thought, they've concluded, you know what, let a black woman scream. Most people will, even if they listen to her, it's a black chick and we're just going to let her scream into the air and we'll just put it down to black female hysterical action. So we'll just put it down to that.
You think that's it?
Yeah. We'll get some bots on Twitter and we'll get everyone to call her crazy and we'll pretend she's hysterical and we'll push all of this narrative that she's nuts with some paid influencers. And we're going to get everyone to call her crazy, even if she's right on the money, even if she gets it perfectly right. Even in one of her episodes, if she describes it perfect, we're just going to convince everyone she's nuts because she's a black chick and we can convince people that she's just hysterical, like the Walmart ran out of cocoa butter and she's mad. So let's just do that. If you're a man in a sharp suit like yours, or if I put a suit on, I sit there and I break it down in a very logical, there still is that degree of misogyny in the world where a man is taken a little bit more seriously with some things. And then if you get it directly on the money with a different tone and they can't really call you crazy, if you don't give them the second life, if you don't give them an easy layup, well then you pay the price. That's the first thing to analyze. Now let's analyze a couple other things. It's not my job to say who killed Charlie. It's the job of our agencies, which we subsidize with our taxes, our tax money, to convince me that they know who killed Charlie. Not just to...
Yeah, so basically in that clip, he's saying that he knows who killed, or unalived, you have to say on YouTube these days, right? He's saying that he knows who unalived Charlie Kirk. Right, that's what he's saying. But it's not his job to say who unalived Charlie Kirk. And he says a lot in this interview, right? Says a lot in this interview. But basically, he's saying a lot of stuff that's going to get a lot of clicks, right? And it's going to get people talking, right? And some of the stuff he says is very interesting. I will say that, especially in this video, in this particular video, right? But it just makes me look at Andrew Tate and think, whoa, bro, ever since you lost that fight, man, you seem mad insecure. And I get it. I understand. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Right? He wants to stay in the algorithm. He wants to stay relevant. But I just think, like, when you get to a certain point in life, right, he reckons, he says that it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Let's look at Andrew Tate's net worth, right, which is probably not going to be accurate. It says between 20 million and astonishing $710 million. Okay? $710 million is a lot of money. 20 million is a lot of money. Right? But I think that, it's at a certain level where it's like, why do you care at this point, like, about being in the limelight? I think that when people get to a certain extent, it's no longer about the money. It's more about the worship. It's more about the idolization. It's more about the following, right? And it's more about your ego at this point. And that's just, that's an insecure thing. That's in my opinion, right? This is coming from someone who's never been famous on that level, right? But at which point does a man that makes all that money become content with what he's got? And just at which point do you go and ride off into the sunset and retire on an island somewhere, And the truth is that many of us wouldn't, right? Because guess what? The saying goes is once you stop, you're dead. You got to keep on working, keep working. But if Andrew Tate's as smart as he is, right, I don't think he needs to be surrounding himself with negative attention and things like that at this point. I think whatever he set out to do to become the most Google man in the world at some point, right, he's done the job. He's made a lot of money. He's gained a lot of wealth. And, he's probably got businesses that are turning over unlimited money. He will never have to work again a day in his life, right? But for some reason, he seems to find himself on the internet, on social media, right? There's somebody that have that kind of net worth. You probably don't see a lot of people of that kind of net worth that aren't like musicians and actors. Like, well, actors, you don't see that anyway. Like, you don't see a lot of controversy with actors. They like to keep their image clean. But musicians, rappers, there's not a lot of people that are huge like that, social media wise, that surround themselves in controversy. They normally like to have a cleaner image when they reach a certain level. but not Andrew Tate. Not Andrew Tate. I'm not, I'm not digging at him or anything. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Like, I think he's quite insecure. Hence why the thumbnail, not clickbait. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah.